Hello, my name's Sarah. This is my story about why I hate pranks and believe people who do them have something loose in the head. And it's better not to joke with an ex-karate champion. That day, I got home early. I've been living with my boyfriend for a year now. We were even same-year students, though in different colleges. And usually, we came home at the same time. But then, for some reason, my last class was canceled. Relaxing in an empty apartment, of course I rushed home. I made dinner. I danced a little while Mark wasn't at home. I washed the floor, and I decided it was high time I took a shower. The thing is, it was already evening, and Mark still wasn't home. But then, it didn't bother me. I was going to call him after the shower. You never know. Maybe he was hanging out with friends or something. Anyway, we both tried not to be obsessive to each other. I went into the shower, I undressed, and suddenly, I saw someone behind the curtain. Some strange figure in black, with something in his hands. I carefully pushed the curtain back and saw a huge knife. You know, a meat cleaver. And then a whole figure in a hoodie, with his face hidden under the hood. The figure waved the knife. I yelled. Well, let me tell you the whole thing. When I was a kid, I was very keen on karate. I even took part in some competitions. I got a black belt. I wanted to become a professional athlete, but I had a spinal injury, so I had to change plans. Somehow, I didn't talk about this. It was too disappointing. Most of my life and my plans were ruined due to some injury, and Mark didn't know about my martial arts past. I just didn't want to tell him about it. But I didn't forget my athletic skills, especially in martial arts. Well, I shouted. You'd shout too at the sight of a maniac with a knife in your bathroom, but my hands acted faster than my head. They grabbed the curtain and pulled it. The pipe that the curtain was hanging on fell right on the maniac. He didn't expect it. He staggered, dropped the knife, and covered his head. Then I added a couple more pinpoint strikes. The first blood spilled, and then there was a knock at the door. I put on a robe and rushed to open the door, and there were the police. Who called them? The neighbors who heard my cries. Anyway, the police came in. The body was laying in my bathroom, all bloodied and in a hoodie. They dragged out the body. Then the hood fell down, and I saw Mark, my failed killer. They took us both to the police. Why? Who knows? They told me to, and I did. And I'd try to figure out why my boyfriend imagined himself a hero in a horror film. They kept us at the police station for a long time, but not because of the papers and investigations. I just overdid my self-defense, and I beat the maniac a lot. They told us when they brought Mark to his senses, they thought he was a murderer. He had a knife, and the victim, that's me, shouted. So the neighbors heard, and they took me in for exceeding my self-defense. The battle with a maniac's useful, okay, but the authorities told me I just needed to shout and run around the bathroom while an unknown person swished a knife, and not to beat him with a pipe. They hardly let us go, only after we signed a statement that we had no claim to each other. Mark even showed the knife. It was just a plastic toy. This idiot had seen a lot of pranks on the internet, and he decided to make a joke. But he didn't know a Hulk sometimes wakes up in his fragile girl. When I heard about the prank, I was about to beat him again. A joke? A pranker? Damn it. Well, I had to tell him about my martial arts past, and my black belt in karate. The police were laughing. Mark got it and promised not to joke with me again, not even tell jokes, just in case. You never know what had come to mind. Maybe I'd kill him. Then we went to the hospital to get stitches for this loser pranker, and they put a plaster cast on his collarbone in the hospital. I beat him up very well anyway. I'm not kidding. Then I took care of him myself for almost a month, until the plaster was removed. It was a shame, because you mustn't joke like that with anyone at all. And then you can make someone a stutterer, or even worse. For example, if the victim has a bad heart, or just poor health, to go to jail for killing someone because of a prank? I don't think you want such an adventure, right? I'm against all kinds of pranks and jokes. There's enough mess in the world already, so why hurt people with such jokes? I remind Mark about this too, when another crazy idea comes into his mind. By the way, a lot of people have heard this story, mainly thanks to our neighbors. But Mark took a rather big part in it. He told all his friends and boasted of what kind of a fighter girl he had. Now, sometimes everybody teases me, and after each joke, they ask if it was a joke and not something else. But now, I have less surprises that I don't like. People surprise me in traditional ways. That's my story, guys. Write in the comments what pranks you've come across and how you fought with your beginner comedians. If you're a prankster yourself, write why you've chosen such a hobby. And remember, not everyone will laugh at your jokes and forget it. You might be beaten for your tricks. Or, even if your victim's a weak one, he'd get to the hospital.